Well, Francis Grimke was born in 1850, enslaved on a plantation just outside of Charleston, South Carolina. And he spent his childhood living there, but then also with his mother, Nancy Weston, in the city of Charleston. He, after the Civil War, was freed and quickly identified as a really brilliant student. And so they sent him to pursue his education at Lincoln University, where he ended up graduating as valedictorian of his class. And from there, he considered a few different options, actually, as to what his further studies and career might be, and ultimately ended up going to Princeton Seminary, which at the time was sort of the place to go if you wanted to be a Presbyterian minister, which he increasingly felt called to be. That was the place, one of the places to go. And so he ended up studying theology at Princeton Seminary, and then from there became a pastor in Washington, D.C. for 50 years during the end of Reconstruction and during the period of the early Civil Rights Movement. And his ministry is a really interesting ministry. I think one of the reasons that he is worth studying today is that he had a unique ability to, on the one hand, focus on the ordinary daily work of ministry, reading the scriptures, teaching the scriptures, praying with people, walking in life with people. And at the same time, he also had a heart for social activism. And so he distinguished those things. And one of the reasons I like studying him is his very careful ability to distinguish those things. But he also embraced both of those things. And so it's really hard to understand the story of American Christianity or the story of the early civil rights movement without at least knowing a little bit about who Francis Grimke was. And one of the sad things is that those stories are often told without him. And so I think it's important to study him, not just to reclaim him from history, as I've been saying, but also because of the wisdom that he had in the way that he carried himself in those various works. So the NAACP, I don't think, would have been formed without his involvement. He is, to this day, the longest serving member of the Board of Trustees at Howard University. There were so many other different organizations and institutions that he was instrumental in forming or leading or being a part of. Even the one of the first and most important public schools for African American children in Washington, D.C. had its first classes in the basement of 15th Street Presbyterian Church. So you can't even actually understand the history of education in our country or in Washington, D.C. or for African Americans in our country without knowing at least a little bit about Francis Grimke's part in the story. And the further you dig into him, there's more and more little tidbits like that. So I feel really grateful that someone at some point put me onto him, and feel like it's my calling in life now to help others become interested in him too.